Why did I trade my 2019 Street Glide for a 96 Road King? Let's talk about it. What's going on, guys? Long time no see. I'm back with a brand new motorcycle. Well, new to me at least. It is a 1996 Road King with an 80-inch carbureted Evolution motor that I just bought yesterday. And let me talk you through a little bit about why I ended up with this bike. I had the 2019 Street Glide I bought new almost 2 years ago. I made a lot of content with it. You guys have seen it in a lot of different videos. It was time for me to move on to something different. For the sake of this channel, I didn't want to put out the same old stuff I've been putting out. And other than just buying more exhaust for it, I was kind of at a standstill of what I wanted to do with that bike. So I decided that I wasn't really in love with that motorcycle the way I am the Night Train, and I ended up selling it. And I decided what I was going to do was I was going to go for a more budget approach. I wanted to stick with a bagger, something that's good for a two-up situation, because I still need a bike to cart the lady around. But I didn't want to go buy a $15,000, $20,000 Harley, because that's not what everybody can afford. Doing the Night Train and doing a bike that's $4,000 or $5,000, it was really cool, and I wanted to take that to the next level. So somebody that's just looking to get into motorcycling, or first Harley coming from something different, or you just want something cheaper to work with, that is the whole point of this series that I'm about to do with this bike. I wanted something with the EVO motor, and so I started looking, and I actually found one sitting at a dealer. It was an independent dealer, not a Harley dealer, which was this bike. It is a 1996. It has the 80-inch EVO motor. It's got 41,000 miles on it, and I am going to do a lot of different videos on this bike. I've already bought a bunch of parts. I was looking to spend, I don't know, $8,500 was kind of the hard stop I set to go find a bagger Harley of some sort. This bike was $6,400. They had it marked at $6,900. I got them down to $6,400 bucks with taxes and title and all that stuff. It was around $7,200 out the door. So I've still got about $1,500 to $1,800 that I'm willing to spend to play with it. So I ordered a bunch of parts. I ordered some new chrome apes for it, some new levers, new slip-ons because the ones on it right now are way too quiet, and a two-up seat with a backrest. So all those parts are coming in. I'm gonna put everything on, and I'm gonna take you guys through kind of making this, $6,000 Harley into my own and everything that I want it to be. And this one is super, super clean. So the first thing I would say, looking at them, miles don't tell the whole story. When you're looking for a 20-plus-year-old motorcycle, you got to look at other things rather than the mileage. Yeah, I found some bikes that had more like 20, 25,000 miles on them. But the difference is this bike is just very clean. And showing you the close-ups of stuff like this, the paint is nice, the chrome is nice. You can tell that things have been taken care of. Most of the stuff on this bike is original. The saddlebags were upgraded to the police style, which have the top opening. They're more kind of like the newer generations of the Street Glide and Road King have the top opening bags. But you can just tell every inch of this bike has been well taken care of. It's been stored in a garage, and that makes me think that it has been cared for, and oil changes and fluid changes have been kept up. And you can really tell when you ride this bike that it has been well maintained. So I did a lot of research on stuff like that, looking for the right old motorcycle. If you just go buy any old motorcycle, you could have a lot of issues. So we're gonna ride this bike. I'm gonna take you guys through installing these modifications and what I've done and how I like it, and also the maintenance. We're gonna figure out how reliable is this motor. It runs really well, but what is it gonna need in the next year or so that I'm making videos on it. So let's take a little bit of a look at it. Let's go ride it, and let's talk a little bit more about the 80-inch EVO motor. It's my first one ever, so I'm pretty excited about it, guys. Let's get going.
Alright guys, we are riding the 96 Road King. It's a pretty windy November day, but the weather is pretty nice temperature wise. So I'm not straying very far from home on this bike yet, because I haven't really put a lot of miles on it. I test rode it actually about 15-20 miles. I took a pretty long test ride on it. And to pull the curtain back a little bit, I didn't ride the bike when I shot the part of the video you just saw, because it was really cloudy out. It wasn't really nice to get on a ride. So I actually got the Cobra slip-ons in and I put them on. They're a little bit louder than the ones that were on it, but they're still not really to my liking. So I'm gonna see if there's a different baffle option, or maybe I'll just pull the baffles out and see what it sounds like from there. I also, riding it this morning, found out that it does have an oil leak on the front cylinder. I think it's just like a rocker box leak. It's not terrible, but it needs to be addressed. So I will probably just have Harley look at it when it goes in for the bar job next week, and we'll see what the deal is. Some of my initial impressions from riding this bike is it is really comfortable. So it has the air shocks, the adjustable air shocks. You just hook a hose up to it and you fill them to whatever PSI the manual recommends for your weight and whatever. For being a 20-plus-year-old Harley, this thing rides like a Cadillac, man. I'd almost say that it is more comfortable than the Street Glide is just around town. Now, I mean, it's very cushy. It's kind of a Cadillac ride. It's not going to have very stiff suspension or anything like that, but it soaks up bumps like really well just with the stock suspension. I put a little bit of air into it. I'm going to keep messing with it to get it as comfortable as I can. But the ride is great. I mean, these bars are actually really comfortable. I don't like the look of the black. I'd much rather them be, chrome to kind of match the theme of this bike a little bit more. Well, you were going to cross, but you decided not to jaywalk right there. So yeah, I mean, it's really good. It sounds decent. With the slip-ons, it's a little bit deeper and a little bit more rumbly, but it doesn't have that like Harley bite that my Night Train has. So I will continue searching on how to get that bike to sound, or this bike to sound like that bike a little bit more. These motors do sound really good. It's funny when you watch videos on Harleys through the years, and when they release different motors, they always say they get smoother and more powerful every year. So naturally, if you go back 4 iterations of the V-twin, this one is going to have less power and be less smooth. It's just how it goes. So it does have that really classic Harley shake on idle. It will kind of rattle your teeth a little bit while you're sitting at a stoplight. It's not uncomfortable, but it's just funny coming from a 2019 Street Glide to this. I mean, naturally, a 25-year-old motorcycle, it's going to have more vibration. And the Softail models of, this same bike had hard-mounted EVO motors, so they shake even worse than this one, is at least how I understand it. So we're going to hop on the highway real quick. Like I said, I'm not going to get too far from home. I never do with a brand new bike. I don't have enough experience with it. I'm still looking it over, trying to make sure there's nothing wrong with it, really. The dealer put 2 new tires on this thing. They changed the oil and they changed the battery, which the next video in this series is going to be things I do immediately to brand new bikes, and all of those things are part of it. So at least most of the main things are out of the way. I've got some spark plugs coming for it. I'm going to do a lot of just basic maintenance stuff with it to make sure it is ready to go and doesn't have any little nagging issues. But let's see how the 5-speed EVO does on the highway. Up to about 60 here. At 55. Wind's not that bad even without the windshield. I don't know that I'm necessarily going to be able to find 70 miles an hour today, but at right about 60 miles an hour, the RPM is good. The vibration's not that bad. I don't have a tach to tell you kind of what it's riding at, but very, very comfortable. The ride is still great, man. I can't get over the fact that it is really, really plush. I'm very, very comfortable. The seating position is actually more comfortable than it was with my stock Street Glide for sure. Okay, there's 60 right on the dot. Climb up to maybe 65. Power is good on the highway. I'm just quarter throttle and it picks up really well. 65, so pretty good. The grips on here are the Kuryakin ISO grips, which are supposed to be really good for bikes that have a lot of vibration. They're actually doing their job really well. I'm not getting a ton of vibration in the hands. I don't even have gloves on, and I'm still feeling pretty good. 68. You do start getting a decent amount of vibration as you creep up towards 70. There's about 69, but it's not super uncomfortable. But there definitely is some vibration through the pegs, or through the floorboards, and through the handlebars. It's to be expected with an old bike. I mean, it doesn't bother me. I knew what I was in for. You definitely do a couple hour trip for sure. Just a good seat. Maybe I'll get some floorboard extensions and stuff. You know, and my whole deal with this bike is to do projects with it. I'll see what I can do to, you know, help with the vibration a little bit if it becomes an issue, but it doesn't bother me. Lets you know there's something underneath you. You're not just riding on a floating couch. Shift's good. Clutch is really good. The pull's not that bad. The pull on my night train is actually way heavier than this. Might just be a maintenance thing, but I'm pretty excited about this thing. When these 16-inch chrome apes come in, I think it's really going to set this bike off and make it a lot of fun. I cannot wait to get those things put on it. Now, like I said, I'm going to update you guys. As soon as it goes to Harley, we'll see what the deal is with this oil leak. I'm going to keep messing around with the exhaust to get it to where I want it. Brakes are pretty good. The brakes on this year model are single piston calipers, so they're notoriously known for not having quite enough brake power. I haven't done like a hard stop on it yet, but just for normal riding around, I haven't noticed it lacking. I mean, it squeaks a little bit, but it's a 40,000 mile bike, and I'm sure that the brakes probably will need to be done eventually. Not a big deal. It doesn't bother me. You can't expect to buy a 1996 Harley and expect it to be completely problem-free unless you're buying one off somebody's private collection and has no miles on it, and even then. So if you want something that's perfect, go spend 20 grand and get a new Harley. Power is just fine. I'm not gonna just like give it full throttle quite yet with this oil leak going on. I don't want to, you know, blow the rest of the seal out or anything. So I'm gonna wait until next week to really get after it, and I'll probably give y'all a little bit of some exhaust videos with the mic wire to the seat, and do some flybys and stuff to hear how this sounds, and maybe even do it next to the night train to let you all hear the difference. But long and short, I'm pretty happy, man. This thing is it's definitely different, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to ride with two people. Can't wait to get the upgrades installed. If you'll have any questions about this bike, or have anything that you want to any wisdom you want to impart about me, if you've owned an EVO before, stuff I should look for, please put it in the comments. Click the subscribe button if you want to follow the project that is this old Harley Road King. And until next time, thank you all for hanging out and watching.